Welcome to Crown TV. Immerse yourself with a captivating audio from our stories. We provide an alternative way to read books in audio. We upload many audiobooks as possible, from bestsellers to timeless classic. Subscribe and stay tuned for a new upload.
Episode 26. Parking attendant took the key. Soon, Zara and the others surrounded Alex with mocking smiles on their faces. The group chatted amongst themselves. This kid has quite a business head. He knows that the people who come here all are white-collar workers, so he'll be able to get some money here. He seems to have just asked for $2 just now. $2 for one person. That's not a small amount. Alex, tell me, how much money do you have now? The group continued with the insults. They all treated Alex like he was a beggar. Zara looked at Alex, who was picking up some money that someone had dropped on the floor, and thought, I didn't misjudge Alex. He's been getting worse and worse these days. He's even thought of asking for money this way. Thinking of the conspiracy between her and her cousin, the corner of Zara's mouth curled up into a cold smile. If my cousin fell in love with this kind of loser, it would give Robert Miller a huge shock. This way Robert will pursue my cousin more actively, she thought. Alex, that's enough. I'll give you $10. You can pack up your stall for today and come back tomorrow to ask for more money. Zara asked for $10 from the boy next door and passed it to Alex. Alex accepted it without thinking, but he was cursing on the inside. I have over $1 billion. How could I possibly ask for money from someone else? Is the universe just joking with me? However, Alex didn't have any intention of leaving after taking Zara's money. Why aren't you leaving? Was that not enough money for you? Zara looked at Alex angrily. Alex wanted to leave, but his car was still parked there. If they saw him drive a Mercedes-Benz, it would be a huge problem for him. His identity as a super rich kid might be exposed. This was not something Alex was willing to do. Get lost! Zara was so angry that she kicked Alex in the butt. Zara was used to commanding Alex around and didn't take him seriously at all. Would she dare to speak to me like that if she knew that I had more than $1 billion in assets? He wondered. Alex was too lazy to bother with Zara. Just when Alex wanted to leave, another person walked over from the roadside. It was Rachel O'Connor, whom he had seen at the practice field before. Alex, you came as well. Rachel greeted him with a smile. Yes, Alex nodded. Oh, Rachel, you're here, stated Dean Marshall, who was on the basketball team. He looked over at Rachel with a silly smile. Rachel acted as though she didn't hear him and completely ignored him. Rachel and Zara had eaten together these past few days, and Dean had shamelessly joined them twice. His frivolous manner had disgusted Rachel. This was a huge blow to Dean. Rachel took the initiative to greet Alex, but ignored him. Did this mean he couldn't even compare to Alex? He wondered. Rachel, actually his name isn't Alex at all. He just stands here and asks for money, Dean snickered, trying to put down Alex's image. Is that so? Rachel looked affectionately at Alex and said to Zara, Anyways, Alex is on the cheering squad. Let him eat with us. Rachel spoke a few words of praise for Alex, and Zara reluctantly agreed to let him eat with them. Alex didn't reject Rachel's invitation, and he walked into the restaurant with her and the others. Dean was at the back of the group. He gritted his teeth in anger as he watched Alex and Rachel walking in front of him. As they entered the restaurant, there were already quite a few people around. Seated in the middle was a large, tall boy with permed hair who was dressed very stylishly, Harry Hamilton. He was the captain of the Preston University basketball team and was also Zara's boyfriend. Zara, you sit here. Sit down and let's see what they have to eat. Harry walked to Zara's side and naturally held her hand. A trace of desire flashed in his eyes. Huh? Harry then noticed Alex and frowned. Isn't he cheerleading crew's nanny? Why is he here too? The basketball team often trained with the cheerleading team, so Harry often saw Alex but never had any dealings with him. A loser who was only fit to carry stuff for the cheerleading team. What was there to socialize with? Thought Harry. Zara sneakily glanced at Rachel with a hint of complaint in her eyes. Zara told Harry that she had seen Alex outside asking for money, so she had called him in. If it was annoying, she would ask Alex to go. "Huh, this guy was asking for money outside. There's no one else but him that would do such a thing." Harry laughed out loud after hearing this. "Never mind. This time it's cheap. Just let him have a free meal." "Everyone take a seat. My brother's coming too. Just leave a spot for him," Harry said as everyone started to sit down. Zara naturally sat together with Harry. Alex was about to sit down when he heard Zara say, "Alex, take a seat by the door. There's a breeze when the waiter goes in and out. It'll help us block the wind." "Right, Zara's idea is pretty good," agreed one person. "Alex, sit by the door and block the wind," chimed in another. Alex didn't care, as it was the same no matter where he sat. But Rachel's face turned red, and she couldn't help but shout, "Aren't you guys going a little too far? We're all friends here. Do you need to be so hostile toward Alex?" The mood turned somewhat awkward. "We didn't ask him in the first place. He shamelessly followed us," Dean muttered. Rachel glared at him and stood up from her seat beside Alex. "Why did you sit over there? If the wind blows, you'll get cold," Dean said with concern. Rachel completely ignored him. "Rachel, stop messing around. Come sit beside me," Zara said as she walked to Rachel's side and pulled her to sit beside her. Alex was deeply touched. He looked at Rachel with gratitude. The waiter brought out plates and dishes. At that moment, the room's door was pushed open once again. "Hello, everyone." A smartly dressed young man came in. "Howard, you're finally here." Harry walked up to his brother, Howard Hamilton, and hugged him. "Let me introduce you to everyone. Everyone, this is my good brother Howard. He went to Switzerland after graduating from high school and has been getting over jet lag the past few days." When Harry made the introductions, he looked at Rachel for a long time as if he was introducing her. "You can sit here," Rachel suggested. Harry and Howard walked to Rachel's side and gestured for the others to give up their seats. Howard sat beside Rachel, giving her a good look up and down. He could not help but feel nervous. Rachel was beautiful, with a white face, thin lips, and ample chest. The previous night, Howard asked Harry to introduce him to a beautiful girl. The photo that Harry sent him was Rachel's. As a result, he didn't sleep well. Howard tried to strike up a conversation with Rachel. He subtly tried to reveal his family's power to Rachel. He thought this would help win her over. But Rachel ignored him, and it made him even angrier when she paid attention to Alex, who was sitting by the door. That kid looks so cheap. Why would he get this gorgeous girl's attention? Howard thought. "Harry, you haven't introduced that guy to me," Howard whispered as he pointed his fork at Alex. "Oh, he's the babysitter of the cheerleading squad. He was just at the entrance asking for money," said Harry with an evil smile. "Look at him dressed as a beggar. He's not like us at all. We didn't ask him to come. He only came because Rachel pitied him. It was lucky for him to come with us. Otherwise, he never would have been able to come here." Dean took the opportunity to step on Alex's leg. "Begging?" Howard showed a very surprised expression and said, "He's already into begging? But he hasn't even tried to work hard. This guy's not ambitious. In the real world, he's just a walking corpse. There's no saving him." "Exactly. That's all he'll ever be," the others agreed. Alex wasn't really angry, but he did feel it was ridiculous as he thought to himself, "I'm a super rich person. You guys aren't even fit to carry my shoes, but now you're shamelessly making fun of me?" "Let's not talk about this trash anymore," Harry continued. "Oh, right. Howard, why are you so slow today? Isn't this good timing for Dad to buy me a new car? I just randomly picked out a car from the lot before coming over," Howard said casually. "You bought a car?" Harry glanced at Rachel and said, "Tell me, what kind of car did you buy?" "It's not a good car. It's only an E-Class Mercedes. I'll drive it for a couple of years, then get a better one when I get married," Howard said. The friends chatted with each other. "Howard's awesome. He's already over E-Class. He doesn't even think it's a good car." "To some it might be a good car, but who is Big Howard? He's been making a splash." The others started to clap their hands. From the looks of it, Zining was richer than Harry. They followed Harry's lead to adore Howard even more. When the group urged him to go see his car, Howard happily agreed. This was a good opportunity to try and impress Rachel. The group got up and walked out of the restaurant's entrance. Howard was the center of attention. "Everyone wait, I'll drive out right now and take you guys to karaoke," Howard said as he jingled the car keys in his hand. "Doesn't the parking attendant have the car key?" A question came up from the crowd, and the others turned to all look at Alex. Alex had asked himself this question quietly, so he wasn't expecting everyone else to hear it. He felt rather awkward at that moment. Howard looked at Alex with an unfriendly gaze and sneered, "Idiot. Do you think any random parking attendant will park it for you? Look at this place. It costs a ton of money to park here." Howard felt that very few customers would pay to park their cars, so he didn't feel embarrassed at all. "That's right. When I drove here, there was no one to park my car for me anyways. If you don't understand, then don't speak," Harry said to Alex. "Ignore him. He's just a fool who's never seen the world before. Yo, bro, hurry up and drive." "Pfeh, ignorant," Howard cursed as he chatted, laughed with Harry, and walked to the car. The others stayed at the entrance to wait for them, but 5 minutes later, Zara called Harry before they could even get out of the car. "Hey, why isn't he out yet?" "Hey, my idiot brother, he dented some guy's G Mercedes," Harry whispered into his phone as he walked away from Howard in the parking lot. Episode 27. Whose Big G is it? Zara Fitzgerald and the others quickly arrived at the parking lot. After a glance, they saw that Howard Hamilton had put a deep dent into a Mercedes. Alex, who was standing behind everyone, frowned when he saw that it was Lucy's car, which he was driving while she was gone, that had been dented. That idiot Howard. He was bragging about how awesome his driving skills were when we were just eating now, and yet you had to dent Lucy's car. "You're a real dope," Alex thought. They bantered amongst themselves. "This big car must be at least over $150,000. This is bad. This is bad to dent it up like this. That's at least $10,000 in damages. If only I could drive, I definitely wouldn't have dented it up. Who knew something like this would happen? You want to pay $10,000? Who the hell can afford it? Who can we blame? If we were a bit more careful, we wouldn't have been able to make such a big dent." Howard became even more annoyed than he already was. Now he was so angry that he wanted to zip up their mouths. This guy won the prize. I've seen this kind before in an exhibition. It's a high-quality version imported from Germany. Over $200,000. With a dent like this, no one can get out for less than $15,000. One of the cars driving by stopped in front of the crowd. The driver commented, gave Howard a thumbs up, and then drove away. 15,000, Howard thought. Howard's heart stopped. His whole body felt numb as if it had been shocked. His legs felt weak, as if he were about to collapse. He was just an ordinary rich guy, so losing $15,000 in one shot was a huge sum of money to him. If the family knew about this, his father would be mad. The others noticed Howard's mood, stopped commenting, and just sighed. He didn't want to look weak in front of the others. He decided to avoid losing face in front of his friends that no one would look down on him, even if he might get in trouble with his father when he got home. "Why don't you drive away? Nobody has seen it. I think if the owner can drive a Mercedes, he probably won't care about your money," Alex said. Alex felt funny when he saw Howard's expression, as if his parents had died. Honestly speaking, he didn't think much of it. More importantly, they'd been holding him up from getting out of here. "What is your pig brain thinking? Can't you see that it's surrounded by surveillance cameras? It would have been even more embarrassing if you dent someone's car up and then ran away. Don't you understand?" Zara said with a frown. "Pff, I didn't expect you to be dressed so badly and have such vulgar thoughts. You would have run away if you touched someone else's car. Do you have any morals?" Howard sneered and said, Do you think I have that little money? $15,000? That's just 2 months of pocket money. What's that? If Howard had that much pocket money every 2 months, he wouldn't be so scared. But Howard only had a few thousand a month. It was more like many months' worth. The others started to boast about how rich Howard was, mocking Alex for his lack of morals. Let's go. Let's not hang out with them anymore. Rachel O'Connor couldn't stand listening to the others anymore. Even before going into the restaurant, she had said that Alex was a target for bullying. Rachel held Alex's hand and walked away without looking at the others. Rachel, don't go. We still need to go to karaoke and sing, Zara called out to Rachel. Yeah, you and Alex can only take the bus, but you can drive in luxury with us. Dean Marshall and Howard also hurriedly tried to persuade her to stay. They were all interested in Rachel, and they felt really upset as they watched her leave with Alex. No need, you guys go hang out. I'll go back with Alex. I don't like taking luxury cars either. The bus is quite comfortable. Rachel steeled her heart and didn't have any intention of going back. What's going on? The parking attendant said as he walked over. When he saw so many people gathered around, he became suspicious and pushed his way through the crowd. When he saw the car, he shouted angrily, "Who did this?" Howard admitted that he had accidentally dented the car. Ugh, you're a talent. Such a big place to be able to dent up a car. I admire you, the parking attendant said sarcastically. Everyone stays here and don't leave. When the owner of the car arrives, you can pay him for the damage. Alex saw that the parking attendant was the one who had parked his car for him. He was afraid that the parking attendant would recognize him, so he took Rachel's hand and quietly told her to leave with him as soon as possible. He was afraid of what would come next. Instead of pulling Rachel along, he had instead attracted the parking attendant's attention. Hey, boy, stop! When the parking attendant saw Alex run out of the crowd, it looked like he was the guilty one. The parking attendant had to catch him or risk losing his job. Howard and the rest went quiet and watched the parking attendant chase Alex. If Alex had been alone, he would have just run away. However, with Rachel beside him, he couldn't run so fast. The parking attendant quickly caught him. The smiles on the others' faces became even more obvious. Rachel's heart sank as she felt that the others would think she was a joke. Still running? Do you think you can escape? Exclaimed the parking attendant. After being caught by the attendant, Alex said, A young man wants to run after touching someone else's car? Is that all? When he saw Alex's face, the parking attendant was stunned. Sir, why, is it you? Most of the people who drove cars of this caliber were over 40 years old. It was the first time that a parking attendant had seen someone as young as Alex, so he remembered Alex's young face. Sir, I'm sorry. I didn't know it was you. I didn't want to chase you. Sir, are you leaving now? I'll drive the car over for you now, the parking attendant said happily. As he turned around, the parking attendant saw Howard and the others, so he quickly said, Sir, they dented your car. If you want them to compensate you, then I'll tell them. If they don't, then I'll call the police. What's going on? Did this luxury car belong to the loser, Alex? Thought Howard and the others in confusion. Are you sure you haven't made a mistake? This brat was just begging out on the street in front of the shop. How could this G be his? Asked Howard. How could I not know after personally parking the car? Why don't you think about how you're going to compensate him? Said the parking attendant as he looked at Howard and the others in disdain. No need for them to compensate me. It won't cost that much to fix it. Alex just wanted to leave as soon as possible, so he said, Just give me the car keys, I'll drive it myself. Since the parking attendant had already revealed him, there was no need for Alex to hide who he was anymore. Alex took the car keys, got in the big G Mercedes, and drove it out steadily. When the others saw him do this, their eyes widened in shock. They couldn't believe that Alex, the nurse of the cheering squad, was the owner of the Mercedes-Benz G. Zara was like a statue. Her mind went blank, and her big eyes were locked onto Alex's body. It all felt unreal to her. Harry and Howard were heartbroken. They looked like fools as they watched Alex step into the car. Their minds were a mess as they wondered what exactly was going on with Alex. How could he afford to drive such a good car? Beep, beep. Alex pushed his horn twice. The group hurriedly got out of the way. Alex stopped the car next to Rachel and rolled down the window. He looked at the stunned Rachel and said, "Get in the car. I'll drive you back." "Me?" Rachel pointed at herself and then calmed down a little. She smiled. "Sure." With that, Rachel opened the door and climbed in. Alex was about to drive the car out when he saw Zara tapping on the window beside him. "What's wrong?" Alex asked Zara as he rolled down the window. "Alex, I'm going back to school too. Can I get a ride too?" She asked him coyly now that Zara knew Alex was the owner of this G. This was a luxurious car worth at least $150,000. Zara had never ridden in one before. If she could be seen riding in this luxury car, it would make the others envy her. I think you should go in Harry's car. Don't you guys still have to go sing?" Alex said as he slowly raised the car window and started the engine. "Alex, I'm not going to sing anymore. Why don't you visit me sometime?" Zara said in a craving tone, walking after the G as Alex slowly started rolling away. Alex ignored her as he drove out of the parking lot, increasing the throttle, speeding up. "Alex! Alex!" Zara followed the G into the middle of the street, shouting like a shrew. The only response she got from him was the exhaust and dust from the surrounding cars. When passerby saw Zara's angry expression, they all secretly guessed that Zara had been dumped by her boyfriend. Episode 28. Alex chased after Rose? Alex drove the car back to school with Rachel. Rachel was going to the New York School of Hygiene near the Preston University campus. The sky had already grown dark, and the street lamps on both sides of the road had lit up. There was a unique mood in the car. "I didn't expect this car to be yours," Rachel said with a faint smile. The flashing lights made her face glow. "What? You didn't like it?" Alex asked. Hearing Alex's words, Rachel turned her face toward the window and blushed. "No, I just like you more," she said sweetly. Rachel recalled the first time she saw Alex. "People would bully you and scold you, but you didn't seem to take it to heart. I can see the determination in your eyes." And now, Alex didn't expect Rachel to speak so openly about her thoughts. "Since you drive this car, it means that you are so much more powerful than Harry and the others. But you disguised yourself so well that even I couldn't see it. Those guys can't compare to you." Rachel spoke as she lowered her head slightly, intertwined her hands, and looked slightly disappointed. Alex heard the feeling of inferiority from Rachel's words. It was no wonder she felt that way, as Alex's big G was worth over $150,000. On the surface, it seemed like Alex's family was of much higher status than Rachel's. However, Alex's family background was much more powerful. This is what Alex had always been worried about, the trouble his identity would cause him after it was revealed. Rachel was a good girl. Alex cherished her as a friend. "Rachel, you've made a mistake. This car isn't mine. I borrowed it from someone else," Alex lied. "You borrowed it from someone else?" Rachel blinked her large eyes in astonishment. "I swear, this car belongs to someone else. I swear, otherwise I'll die a horrible death." Alex continued to lie, but he also felt quite at ease because it wasn't truly a lie. Technically, this car belonged to Lucy Smith. "So that's what happened. You almost tricked all of us." Rachel laughed and felt secretly delighted in her heart. By then, Alex had already arrived at the New York School of Hygiene. Rachel said goodbye to Alex and walked off. Alex drove the damaged car directly to the repair shop and then drove back with a loaner car. He stopped to have a meal in the cafeteria. It was almost 10 o'clock at night, so Alex didn't get a chance to tell Debbie about the villa. He went back to his dorm to sleep. The next morning, Alex was asleep when he was pulled out of bed by his roommate, Joe. He washed his face and didn't say anything as Joe dragged him to a coffee shop off campus. Susan was there waiting for them. After having a drink, Susan explained the reason she wanted to talk with Alex. It turned out that the relationship between Rose and Zane had developed rapidly in the last 2 days. Susan felt that Zane wasn't interested in Rose, so she wanted Alex to chase after Rose, or at least prevent Rose and Zane from getting together. I think you should find someone else," Alex muttered as he thought about how badly Rose treated him earlier. "Alex, Rose was just talking nonsense. She usually has a good personality. Last semester, the school invited her to teach in a small mountain town, so Rose volunteered to live in a town in Montana for half a month before coming back," said Susan. This surprised Alex a little. He could not picture Rose living in a remote town. "You even brought food to see Rose last time, which proves that you're quite concerned about Rose. I don't think you want to see Rose together with Zane, right?" Susan said as she tried to convince him. Alex smiled wryly in his heart. The food that he had brought was not meant for Rose at all. Although Alex did not have a good impression of Rose, he remembered how Zane pretended to be thankful but doubted his character. He agreed, since he did not want Rose to date Zane. "That's great. I've already told Rose that we're going to the amusement park today. Alex, you have to make good use of this opportunity. Maybe you can take Rose down," Susan giggled. "Will she join us?" Alex asked, as he didn't think much would come of it. With Rose's personality, he doubted that she would go if she knew that he would be there. "No, she'll come. Don't worry, you guys sit down. I'll go outside and see if Rose is here," Susan said before walking out of the shop. At that moment, Rose arrived with her bag. "Rose, go in quickly. We came with Alex a long time ago," Susan said as she pulled Rose into the shop. Rose stood still and looked at Susan reluctantly. "I don't want to see Alex. Susan, I know what you mean this time, but it's obvious that Alex and I are from 2 different worlds." Rose already knew from Susan that when Alex had brought all that delicious food, it was from his boss at the restaurant he worked for in the city. So in her eyes, Alex was still a total loser. "Rose, look, you're already here. It's fine if we go hang out together. Maybe if we hang out more with Alex, you can find some good qualities in him," Susan said as she tried to convince her. She just didn't want Rose to be with Zane. "It's not going to work between us," Rose smiled wryly. "But I'll give you this one today. Just don't call me up for more dates with Alex after today." Susan's heart chilled a little when she heard Rose's attitude. The 2 of them walked into the shop. "Alex, Rose is here. Why are you still standing there?" Susan gave Alex a cue. "Rose, you're here." Since Alex had promised Susan, he tried his best to be nice to Rose. "I have a last name, so next time you can address me as Miss Scott." Rose didn't even want to look at Alex as she proudly said this. That sentence made Alex, Susan, and Joe feel quite awkward. Rose's attitude was still the same. How is this going to work for Alex and Rose? "All right, let's get going since everyone is here," Susan suggested, while Alex and Joe also got ready to leave. "There's someone who hasn't arrived yet," Rose said as her lips curled up into a smile. "There's someone else, Rose? Didn't I tell you that only 4 of us are going to hang out? Who else did you invite?" Susan said, feeling a little disappointed. She had specifically told Rose about this, which Rose had agreed to. Rose didn't answer, but a man had already appeared. A slightly chubby boy walked over. He was wearing a shirt and a New York baseball cap. "Zane, you came!" Rose walked toward Zane with a smile and put her arm around his. "Rose, Zane is coming? Why didn't you tell me this before?" Susan's face darkened as she saw how cozy Rose and Zane were with each other. "Oh my, Susan, Zane just happened to be passing by. That's why I called him over," Rose said without noticing that she went overboard. She cleared her throat, looked at Susan and the others, and said, "Actually, I have one more thing to announce. Zane had confessed his feelings to me, so from today onwards, we're together." Susan froze when she heard that. Joe was also very surprised and looked over at Alex. Alex guessed that Rose's agreement to Zane's confession must have been because she thought that Zane had helped her family. But Zane had faked his help to her. If Rose continues to believe such a dishonest person like him, she might end up suffering a huge loss, Alex thought. Seeing Alex's sad and disappointed expression, Rose felt very comfortable. "Huh, you dared to charge into Metro Skybank like a poor loser with a muddled brain. Save it. Let's see if you still dare to think of good things in the future," Rose thought to herself. Now that Rose is with Zane, Alex thought, there's no way I can do what I promised Susan. I need to find an excuse to get out of here. "I have some things I should take care of today," he said. Rose became even more proud of herself. Alex looked so ashamed by his inferiority and probably felt embarrassed to stay here any longer. "Alex, you're here anyway, and besides, we've already booked your ticket. So let's have some fun together," Susan said as she tried to persuade him. Joe also came over to persuade Alex to stay. Susan and Joe would feel bad if they let Alex leave just like that. "Alex, look at you. Susan is inviting you with such sincerity. Stop putting on airs. We're all friends. Let's hang out together," Rose said as she enthusiastically invited Alex. "That's right, look. Rose said that. Alex, you should stay," Susan chimed in, feeling very happy when she heard Rose urge Alex to stay. Perhaps after a day of hanging out with Rose, Alex would steal Rose away from Zane. Rose said a few more words to persuade Alex to stay. "All right, then, I'll go with you guys." Alex felt a little embarrassed to be invited like this. "That's great." Rose clapped her hands and jumped up. "This way, when we're doing stuff, there'll be someone who will watch over our bags for us." Episode 29. Tell her the truth? "Alex, thank you. You're a good person," Rose said as she smiled sinisterly and happily walked in front of Alex, hanging her bag in his hand. Susan and Joe both frowned. They thought that Rose wanted Alex to stay and spend time with her. They never thought that Rose only wanted him to hold her bag. Wasn't she making fun of him on purpose? Alex wasn't as angry as Susan and the others. If he had to blame someone, then he had to blame himself for being too soft-hearted. He had thought for a moment that Rose might have changed her mood. Since he had already said he would stay, he decided he would join along. "Rose, you're too smart. Hanging out in the amusement park will be tiring. We need a bag carrier," Zane said with a smile as he complimented her. Following Rose's example, he took off his backpack and walked toward Alex. "Bro, thank you. You're great," Zane said as he went to give his bag to Alex. "Screw off." Alex didn't even make a move. He just glared at Zane and cursed. Helping a girl with her bag was acceptable, but Zane was a man trying to shamelessly give Alex his backpack. How shameless is he? Do you think I have no brains? Alex thought. After being yelled at by Alex, Zane became listless and walked away while muttering to himself. "Ignore him, he's just an immoral person," Rose muttered as she glared at Alex, then held Zane's arm and walked out of the coffee shop first. Alex, Susan, and the others followed behind. As they walked out of the shop, a few boys walked past them who were laughing and talking. Rose's pupils constricted as her gaze locked onto one of them. She shrieked, "Bastard, can't you see me?" Her shout was extremely loud, scaring everyone within 10 meters of them. The other boys also stopped and turned to look at Rose. Rose's gaze was full of anger as she locked onto the face of the tallest boy among them. "Rose, what happened with him?" Zane asked Rose quietly. "He's Lucille Brennan. That incident at our house last time was caused by this guy. Cold words flew out from Rose's mouth. The boys that followed Lucille saw Rose shouting at him. Lucille had an excellent family, so they usually fawned all over him. The boys were prepared to go over and teach Rose a lesson. However, Lucille extended his hand to stop them. Who would have thought at that moment Lucille's heart would fill with panic and fear? Last time when Lucille let his father, Logan Brennan, pressure Rose's family, he thought that her family was just second-rate. Once his father made a move, their family would not be able to hold on and would eventually send Rose obediently to his bed. Unexpectedly, Rose's family managed to invite the head of the New York Merchant Union, William Chase. Although Lucille's family's Heavenly Lion Group was one of New York's top 10 enterprises, it was still under the protection of the Merchant Union. Therefore, Lucille's father humbly went to Rose's father's office and apologized in front of him. This was the most shameful and heartbreaking matter that they had ever experienced in their lives. Plus, the father and son duo were already extremely fearful of Rose's family. They would have to hide when they saw Rose in the future. Lucille walked in front of Rose with mixed feelings. The big, tall young man lowered his head toward Rose and said, "Sorry, I was blind not to recognize you. Sorry if I've offended you. Please forgive my ignorance." Lucille's companions were greatly taken aback. What the hell? Does the usually unruly Lucille dare to speak soft words to someone? They thought. What made them even more dumbfounded was what happened afterwards. Rose proudly stood in front of Lucille with her arms folded and a faint sneer on her face. "You think your apology is going to solve things? Aren't you thinking too optimistically? It's fine, I don't want to argue with you, but it's up to you and your attitude. Kneel in front of me now." Lucille's eyes twitched and his mouth quivered. But he didn't dare to disobey Rose. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Lucille dropped to his knees with a thump. Everyone stared at them in total confusion. Just what was going on? Lucille was the dignified young heir of the Heavenly Lion Corporation. Why was he so afraid of this girl? Rose's heart began to swell. "Rose, it's enough to punish him. Let's leave quickly," Zane said in a worried voice. He didn't help Rose with her problem, so if his lie was exposed, it would all be over for him. "What are you leaving him for, my dear? This fellow has left our family in such a miserable state. How can we just let him go like this?" Rose hugged Zane's arm and said, "Now, you go beat him up." You don't want to do this," Zane said, feeling guilty. "Oh, what are you afraid of? We have a relationship with President Chase. Even if we lent him the courage, he wouldn't dare say a word," Rose urged. After being placed in such a spot, Zane had no choice but to fight. Zane hardened his heart and walked in front of Lucille. He raised his arm and slapped him a few times. "So cool." Rose was so happy that she clapped. Then she walked in front of Lucille and gave him a few slaps too. "All right, my dear, I'm so happy today. Don't let this trash disturb our fun any longer. Let's go," Rose chirped as she walked away with Zane in her arms, followed by Joe and Susan. Alex, who was walking behind them, secretly shook his head. Rose had overdone it. Zane was too much of a show-off. He wouldn't help them again in the future. If they stirred up trouble, they would be punished one day. Lucille, who was kneeling on the ground, looked at the backs of Rose and the others that were about to leave. "You two, you just wait," he called. Alex and the others called for a car and headed straight for New York City's Entertainment Garden. On the way, Rose proudly told him how great it felt when she first hit Lucille, praising Zane for helping her. "I've been looking for a boyfriend that can protect me and handle anything. Those poor losers better are more honest. This is hilarious." Listening to Rose's words, Zane felt rather weak in his heart. But Alex just laughed it off. I wonder what Rose would think if she knew that I had helped her and not Zane, Alex thought. After more than an hour of driving, they finally arrived at the amusement park. The roller coaster, the pirate ship, the galloping river, the merry-go-round, the jumping machine. After trying out all sorts of rides, it was already 5 in the afternoon. They took a taxi back to the city and had a meal. It was already dark, so Rose convinced everyone to go to the movies. After buying the tickets, Zane went to the bathroom as Rose got a call from her father. "Rose, come home now. I'm going to visit Zane's father. After all, it's because of you that I have to see him." "Dad, I can't go. I'll tell you a secret. Zane and I are in a relationship already. Besides, I'm with Zane right now, so even if I don't go, his dad won't say anything," Rose said. "So, it's like that. Good girl. Zane's a potentially good one." Rose's father was very supportive of his daughter's relationship with Zane. "All right, then I won't disturb your date with Zane anymore. It's done." They hung up the call. "Rose, who called you?" Zane asked when he came back. "My dad. The movie's about to start. Let's go in quickly." Before Zane could ask, Rose had already dragged him in to watch the movie. When they came out after the movie, it was already past 10 o'clock. Zane suggested that they not go back to the university, but stay at a hotel instead. After the incident with Lucille, he wanted some private time with Rose as soon as possible. He would regret it if Rose knew the truth. "It won't take long for us to take a taxi back home," Susan said hurriedly. She had a bad feeling about Zane's insistence on staying at a hotel. "If you want to go back, that's fine, but I won't go back with Rose," Zane said as he put his arm around Rose's shoulders and leaned toward her. "Rose, are you coming back with us?" Susan asked Rose. "Huh?" Rose's heart was very conflicted, but she felt too embarrassed to go against Zane's words. "I think I'd better go with Zane." "You," Susan sighed. She knew that she would still worry about Rose. There was nothing she could do, so she decided to stay at the hotel. Zane searched for a luxury hotel on his phone and took a taxi there. The hotel was called the Berkeley, and it was quite luxurious. It had a 1-meter-wide crystal chandelier, a golden interior, and a tall and slender hostess. The hotel displayed its extraordinary quality from top to bottom. "Give us 3 private rooms. Make one of them a single, and the cheapest room," Zane commanded the young lady at the front desk as he walked up to her. "Alex, I'm very happy today, so I'll let you stay in a high-class hotel. Tonight you get to have an experience that I'm sure you won't have again in the future," Zane said to Alex arrogantly while waiting for the receptionist to get a room. When the room card was ready, Zane pulled Rose by the hand and followed the bellhop to the room. Rose had never stayed in the same room with a boy before, so she was very nervous and blushed. But she still followed him. After all, Zane's family had so much power, so she wanted to develop their relationship. Joe and Susan went to their room. Alex was the only one left in the lobby. The surrounding hotel staff started to whisper to each other. Some of them felt that Alex looked very pitiful, as he was the only one among the friends who didn't have a girlfriend. He was also staying in the worst room. Alex, on the other hand, didn't care about these questions. He was just thinking about whether he should tell Rose the truth. If Rose and Zane spent the night together, would he blame himself? He thought. A tall man wearing a white shirt, a smoking jacket, and black trousers entered the lobby. All the staff in the lobby stood up, looking more perked up than before, and focused their eyes on the man. "Hello, manager." The staff bowed as the man passed. The man nodded in satisfaction. When his gaze focused on Alex, his expression changed drastically. His original relaxed expression changed to one of respect and surprise, just like the expression of the staff toward him. "Sir, why are you here?" the man said to Alex with a smarmy smile. Episode 30, Manager Woodsworth and Alex's Excuse. Mr. Woodsworth, Alex said as he recognized him. He had seen this man before at Ken Stokes' banquet. He didn't expect this hotel to be operated by his own family. I don't dare to accept that salutation. You can just call me Old Sam, Sam Woodsworth said, feeling flattered. Alex was a very easygoing person, but in the end, still addressed Sam formally as Mr. Woodsworth. Mr. Ambrose, why are you here? Sam asked while bowing. Oh, I'm going to hang out with my classmates. I don't want to go back to the university tonight, so I'll stay here with you, Alex said, smiling. So that's the case, Sam nodded. He then turned to the receptionist and asked, Is this young man's room ready? It's ready, the front desk girl said with a slightly trembling voice. She didn't expect that the young man in front of her, who was wearing an unbearable set of clothes, could make Manager Woodsworth so polite. All the staff, including her, were indifferent to Alex. This young man has the big bed on the 3rd floor next to the stairwell, she said. What? That room is the worst room in the entire hotel, Sam said angrily. This hotel belongs to Mr. Ambrose. It's an honor for Mr. Ambrose to come here, but you've given him the worst room. Mr. Woodsworth, don't blame them. My friend got a room for me, Alex said as he looked at Sam's angry expression and was quite worried that the staff would be implicated. After all, it wasn't their fault. Oh, sir, your friend is too ungrateful, Sam said indignantly. How about this? I'll give you the most respected room in the hotel. No need. I'll just stay in that room tonight. Don't worry, I understand your feelings, Alex said as he patted Sam's shoulder. Only if it's no trouble to you, sir, Sam said. Since Alex had already said so, Sam did not dare disobey him. All right, you can go busy yourselves. I'll head up now, Alex said and walked toward his room. The waiters' eyes were filled with respect toward Alex. They all brought out their brightest smiling faces for him, which made Alex feel uncomfortable for a while. Then they smiled lightly and continued with their work. The moment Alex lay down in his room, someone pushed in a dining cart filled with expensive red wine and snacks. Then the cleaning staff appeared, wanting to clean his room inside and out. Then a gorgeous model dropped by who wanted to chat with Alex, but Alex refused. That's Sam, Alex thought while smiling bitterly inside after everything quieted down. Damn it, Alex looked at his watch. It had been more than an hour since he got to the hotel. Alex was hesitating whether he should tell Rose the truth, but it was too late now. If Zane was planning to sleep with Rose tonight, the two of them would already be smooching. Forget it. Rose might not even believe it even if I told her. She might even mock me for being shameless and trying to take advantage of her, he thought. Thinking about Rose's attitude toward him, Alex lost his feeling of regret. He lay on the bed and closed his eyes. He was about to fall asleep when there was a noise outside the hallway. First, it sounded like a door being slammed, and then there was the sound of hurried footsteps. Get lost! In the hallway, Rose's entire body was wrapped in a white sheet. Her snow-white shoulders and her two slender legs were exposed, and she wasn't wearing any shoes. She glared furiously at Zane, who chased after her. Rose, quickly, come back inside. Look at how you're dressed. Don't let other men see you. Zane was dressed about the same amount as Rose. He only had on a pair of red underwear, and the fat around his round waistline slightly trembled. Zane, you're a big liar. Your family didn't help us. Rose looked at Zane with a cold smile. What? Rose, you have it all wrong. If it wasn't my family's help, who else could it be? Tell me, am I right? Zane smiled awkwardly. He was already feeling guilty. Why are you still pretending? Rose shook the phone in her hand. It was my father who called me just now. My father went to visit your father tonight and asked him about this matter. Your father said so himself, that he wasn't the one who had helped. You've been lying to me all this time. As soon as those two had entered their hotel room, Zane had started to play tricks on Rose. He had used a lot of flowery words to coax her into bed. Rose finally caved in. After all, it was just a matter of time. After taking a shower, she lay on the bed. Zane had already stripped naked and climbed in. But just at that moment, Rose's father called. So Rose got up and picked up the phone and got some news she wasn't expecting. Looking at Zane, who was lustfully staring at her, Rose felt extremely disgusted. So she ran out of the room in a fluster. "Your father went to see my dad?" Zane was dumbfounded, but he felt particularly uncomfortable. He and Rose were only one step away from magic, but then his father was in trouble. Wasn't this just teasing him? "Rose, listen to me. Even though—" Zane only wanted to calm her down and get her back into the bed. He walked up to Rose and grabbed her arm. "Don't touch me, you're disgusting." When Rose looked at Zane, she only saw his ugliness. When she looked at him, she felt nauseous and repulsed at the thought of having physical contact with him. Rose threw Zane's hand away so strongly that she accidentally hit the eagle statue beside her. With a crash, the eagle statue shattered to pieces on the ground. Rose didn't seem to care about the damage. She was still quarreling with Zane, who was standing in front of her. "Who broke this statue?" A middle-aged man with a tall stature walked over and looked at the broken pieces on the floor with an angry and sorrowful expression. "Manager Woodsworth," said the hotel staff that had already gathered, lowering their heads in respect. "I did this." Rose was currently fuming, so she admitted right away that she broke the statue. "All right, thank you for being an honest young lady. Since you've admitted it, please compensate our hotel," Sam said with a sad expression. "I'll decide if I compensate you. Look at it. Isn't it just a statue? Seriously?" Rose retorted during her anger. "You are right, miss. It's a statue," Sam sneered. "But please pay now. This statue was created in 1986 by a prominent Russian sculptor. It was sold at the Christie's auction house the year before last for over $1 million. "What?" Rose thought she misheard and looked at Sam in disbelief. Sam didn't bother to explain anything further to Rose. He asked someone to find the auction documents to show her. When she saw the documents, she was at a loss for words. "Over $1 million. That's as much as a year of my family's income," she thought. "I was careless." Rose's heart was flustered. Her entire body went weak, and her hands, which were holding the documents, were shaking uncontrollably. "Didn't you say it was just a statue?" Sam sneered. "Don't think that I'll let you get away with it. You must compensate me. Hurry up and call home if you need." Rose's heart skipped a beat again. The documents slipped out of her hands, and her legs shook even more. If her father knew about this, he would beat her to death. Rose felt especially scared when she thought of her father's ferocious face. "Rose, what's wrong?" Susan and Joe heard the commotion and ran to Rose's side. Rose told them what had happened, and by then, her tears had already started to fall. She sobbed. "What should I do? If my father knows, he'll beat me to death. Sir, please don't make me pay, okay? I can work for you and I'll pay you back. Do you need a nanny at home? I can work for you. Although I don't know how, I can learn," Rose cried as she looked at Sam with tears in her eyes. To hide this blunder from her parents, Rose was willing to do anything. "Little girl, don't think of any other impractical methods. You should call your parents as soon as possible," Sam said, thinking like a business person. Even though he felt that Rose was a bit pitiful, he still had to collect the money back. Rose felt complete despair, and her self-reproach, remorse, worry, and fear mixed in her heart. "Mr. Woodsworth?" Alex said quietly as he leisurely walked over. He had heard most of what happened. "Sir," Sam was about to call out to Alex, but he was stopped by Alex's gaze. "Mr. Woodsworth, I think this statue fell at a good time." Alex looked at Sam and said with a faint smile. The moment Alex said this, the surrounding people were all surprised. Someone smashed a statue worth over $1 million. You think that was good? Wasn't that person asking for a beating? They thought to themselves. You think so? May I have your opinion? Sam said respectfully. His heart was filled with suspicion. What exactly did Mr. Ambrose mean? Let me ask you, does this hotel host many Americans or Europeans? Alex asked. Of course, they are our main guests, Sam said after thinking for a while. So the patrons are American and European, yet the hotel spent a lot of money to buy a Russian sculpture and have it on display by the guest rooms. Do you know right now that our country and its allies are at odds with Russia? If the people knew that you had this expensive sculpture in your hotel, they might boycott the hotel. If this was on the news, your hotel's losses would be more than $1 million. That's why I said this situation happened at a good time, Alex reasoned with him. When the others heard Alex's brilliant idea, they could not help but laugh. This kind of story wouldn't even fool a 3-year-old kid, but he wanted to try and trick Manager Woodsworth. When Rose saw Alex standing up for her, she was a little touched. She smiled wryly inside. She was grateful for his help, but it sounded so silly. He was just a fool who didn't understand what was going on. Oh, this young man is right. I wasn't thinking. Sam spoke with a respectful smile towards him, contrary to what everyone else expected. They thought that Alex would be made into a joke.
Thank you for listening to Crown TV. Please don't forget to subscribe, share and turn on the notification button.